Hey there, welcome back to 10 Minutes on Tuesday. I am your early care and education colleague and bestie, Dr. Nefertiti Pointer. I'm so excited we have a few minutes to hang out together. Let me go ahead and press my timer so we can make sure we stay 10 minutes or less. That's what we're going to do, right? 10 minutes or less. Start. There we go. All right, so I'm ready. I hope you're ready too. So today I want to talk to the person. I want to talk to the person who wants to make sure no matter what happens, you are still and will remain doing this work from a place of purpose, where the paperwork, the parents, the children's behaviors that you find challenging, your colleagues who get on your last nerve, none of that matters because you will never lose the fact that this is your purpose in life, at least for right now. I remember working on my dissertation. I had the pleasure of talking to 16 beautiful spirits who I could sit with them in my qualitative study. And I got to ask them just what do they do to show up every day with the grace that people see in them and the resilience that people see in them. Because to be a part of my dissertation, you have to be recommended by a certain criterion. And I'm telling you, it was one of the most beautiful moments of my life just to sit with people who were recommended by someone else as being resilient and to hear how they maintain their joy and well being. And I'm tell you something, one of the things that I heard over and over and over again is that it was their purpose. Teaching in early care and education was not something that they did just for salary, it was their ministry, their vocation, you might want to call it. And I want to talk to that person today that whether you're onboarding and you're brand new or you're listening somewhere in the middle of your career, you don't want to do this from a place of numbness. You don't want to do it burnt out. You want to remember your purpose. And today I want to kind of give you some things to think about until we can see each other again. And so here's something that I was thinking about, and I'm telling you, I sit quietly with these messages for days at a time sometime. But I wanted to say this to you. A calling that drains you is not a calling. What, Nefertiti, what you say? A calling that drains you is not a calling. A calling that drains you is not the calling. A calling that aligns with grace is meant to be sustained, and routines are one of the ways God sustains us. Now, come on, get in here, sit down, and let's make it really, really plain, okay? And I'm talking to those of us today who know this work is our purpose. When God puts you in a place where you have a purpose, then He also gives you what you need to be sustained. And again, today I'm talking directly from my spirit because a part of what I get to do as a leader of my company is I can give messages to you in the way that they hit my spirit. And I want you to take what matters to you today and leave what doesn't matter. All right. Fair enough. Take what matters and leave what doesn't matter. Because I also wanted to say to somebody who would hear me today, your routines are your worship. Your routines are your worship. Nefertiti, what are you talking about? Well, just a moment ago, I said if it's draining you, it can't be a calling. How in the world could I say that? Nefertiti, do you know how my days are? I do. Remember, I do. It's been maybe a long time since I've been in there every day, all day, but I still hear the stories. I coach teachers through what they're going through. I'm with you. And absolutely, the work can be draining. But part of your worship to the work is to make sure you're leaning into routines that refill you. Do you hear me? You have to lean into routines that fill you up. So come on, let's talk about a few and then let's get out of here, right? Not trying to go into overtime today. So let's talk about a few routines that can fill us up. First things first, God honors the routines that protect our bodies. So, for example, drinking water before your first meeting, standing outside for 60 seconds between transitions wherever you can, stretching your shoulders back, or before you're lifting up a child, just remembering your physical body before you do that. Eating something that supports energy instead of just speed. You know how we do sometimes. It's quick, it was easy, but it wasn't good for your body. So let's look at these again. Drink water before your first meeting. Stand outside for 60 seconds when and if you wherever you can during the day. Just 60 seconds, 1 minute. Stretch your shoulders or back before you lift that baby up. Eat something that supports your energy instead of just being easy and convenient. Your routines are your worship because this work is your purpose. Come on, let's keep talking. I believe that God honors routines that settle our minds. God honors routines that settles our mind. And because the work can be draining, your routines are your worship. And we do need some routines that make sure we are settling our mind. Come on, let's talk a little bit about what I mean when I say that. How about whispering a quiet prayer during stressful moments? How about speaking softly, a scripture that ministers to your spirit? Say that scripture to yourself as you're working through your day. Begin your workday with a grounding intention. Listen instead of rush. How about turning the music off in the car before you enter the building? I'll say that again. How about sitting in silence in the car for a few moments before you enter the building? For some of us, the stillness is just what you need to bring about greater routine and worship. And I wrote down in my notes, sometimes the holiest thing we can do during a day is just to pause, not to fix it, not to make it different, not to make it better, not to make it worse. Don't do anything. Sometimes the holiest thing you can do is just pause. Come on, let's hurry up before my time runs out. God honors the routines that help us get back to joy. See, here's what I know for sure. You have a beautiful spirit. You have a beautiful spirit. And if we're not careful, running on empty, forgetting our purpose, it takes all of that away. And people don't see your beautiful smile. They don't see the disposition that you have in working with some of the toughest infants, toddlers, and preschoolers that we know. No, they don't get to see that disposition. And that's why you're still listening to this particular video where I am reminding you that your routines are part of your worship, and you worship because this work is your calling. So for those of us serving in early care and education, joy isn't something we find, it's something we practice, and we do it over and over through routines that realign us. So let's talk about some of those. How about a gratitude ritual at the beginning and end of each of your days? A weekly walk that's just for you. You usually take lunch in some spaces within the building, or you sit in your car, or you sit with the children. Okay, you can do all of that. And you could also build in a weekly walk that's just for you. You can also rest without guilt. You can do a short evening check-in with yourself. What gave me life today? What drained me today? What do I need to change tomorrow? Here is what we know for sure. When you tie your routines to intentional rest and joy, you can see God more clearly in the work that you do. If you are an individual who you know this work is your purpose and you don't want to do it from a place of burnt out or being overwhelmed by the paperwork, but you still want to lean into your purpose, take from today's recording what you can and practice one intentional step, because your routines are part of your worship. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below. We're in this thing together, colleagues. We are in this thing together. I'll talk to you next time.